Toastmasters is one of them. There's also a speakers bureau and all of those things. Toastmaster itself has about 300,000 members, mostly adult. You got to be 18 and over to join. Now we are forming this club. There are 2 stages for us to be a formal, a Toastmaster and a Toastmaster guide. Okay, we are starting with the youth leadership program. What it is right now, what we're doing is to learn more about what is speech club all about. Okay, what is the organization? How is it structured and all that? Okay, and we'll also get into some exercises to get ourselves our feet a little bit wet. And after this stage, when everybody's familiar about the organization, the structure of it, then we'll move on to a more official club called Gavel Club. And Gavel Club is going to talk about it today, right?
We actually
know. And there you're going to have even more formal guidance. Right now, again, a youth leadership program is to allow you to know more about the structure. And I'm the advisor. I'm going to be here. Valerie's going to lead the club. And if there's any question, she or anybody can always ask me. I'll be sitting over there. Okay, I'm going to turn over the meeting to Valerie.
Hi, thank you. So that Gavel Club, okay. With Gavel Club, we need to think of a name, which we will consider later on, but because Gavel Club, there are so many, we get to choose our own name. So try to think of something creative, because I have no creativity. Alex? So we're going to begin our second session, and that's going to be Introduction to Public Speaking. So, Alex. Success through speech. The benefits of speaking. I talked about this last meeting, and yes, colleges look for that. Communication in your daily life, for projects, and for life in general. Communication is crucial. So that's just speech is a benefit in itself. Alex? You also develop self-confidence. So a lot of you may not be speaking because of the following. You might say, okay, raise your hand if you have a physical fear of the audience, and that's why you don't like to speak. Physical fear, like you feel like they're going to kill you or something like that. I'm not sure.
Stage fright.
Yeah, sure. All right. Raise your hand if you have a fear of being ridiculed. I'm pretty sure that's the majority of us. If you have a fear of making a fool of yourself, definitely Alex. Fear that what you have to say isn't important. And fear that you may bore the audience. Okay. But the only way that you can overcome these fears is if you practice. So, Alex? When you prepare a speech, the club, our first speech for all of you, if you take the initiative to speak, is going to be an icebreaker. And an icebreaker is essentially just talking about yourself for a few minutes. And that could include your birthplace, family, dreams, goals, love life, hobbies, life, anything.
Love life.
Yeah, I don't really want to hear that, but I mean, if you really want to go on about that, go ahead, be my guest. But yeah, an icebreaker should be something that's it just works because you've known yourself for the past 15, 16 years. So I hope that you know something about yourself and you just talk about that as your first speech. And this will give you a chance to share who you are and just show your level of speaking initially, because all of us are actually going to really suck, I have to admit, when we first start out. And if you don't really know where to start for this speech, well, just for speeches in general, you start off with something is wrong, and then you state what that is. Then you say why it's wrong, who's to blame, what harm is done, and then how it can be corrected, and make recommendations for how that can be corrected. And then you tell your listeners what they should do. Let them know what you think, and show them your enthusiasm and sincerity. Does anyone have any questions so far? I know I'm going really fast. Tell me if I'm going to.
You have a lot of information that you have to like
Yes, I'm going to be having this up on the Facebook page. So if you're not on the page, make sure that you message one of the officers, me, Beth, Alex, or Uriel on Facebook, and we'll add you into the group.
Or you can just talk to us personally.
Yeah.
Nah. Well past.
When you organize a speech, you need to have a strong beginning, a strong ending, and take 3 to 4 main points and organize the facts around them. It's kind of like an essay, I guess. You have your strong hook, you have your strong conclusion, but it's not exactly an essay because a speech on to rehearse all the time. Honestly, a lot of people say memorize the speech exactly word for word, make sure that you know what you're saying, but I have to say that one of the best things is just bulleting things. And because that means that you know what you're saying, and then you can just go around it. Because if it's memorized, it ends up being something robotic. And talk in front of an audience, this really helps. Because when you speak in front of an audience, you can get feedback from them, and you also get the feeling of having eyes watching you. And you get the idea of having eye contact. Because a lot of us, we're so used to talking to our mirror, our reflection, and then you get in front of other people and you're like, oh dang, they don't look like me. Also, I highly recommend that you record yourself. Because if you record yourself, you can hear your own voice, you're going to see your own mistakes. And that means you can give yourself feedback. What someone told me a long time ago, I don't remember when, but they told me to record myself and then fast forward, and then go backwards. And if you could do that and if you look like you're moving way too much as you're going fast forward, that means you're using too many gestures. If you sound weird, then that means you're talking too fast. And just recording yourself, you get to see that, and stop mocking me, Calvin, how dare you. Just kidding. And definitely don't procrastinate when you rehearse, because practice makes perfect. Alex? When you present, you need to relax and breathe. Yes. Make sure that when you begin the speech, you're going to begin it saying, Mr. or Madam Chairman, Madam if they're female, Mr. if they're male. I hope you know that. And then you say, ladies and gentlemen. Then you pause, and then you begin your speech. That's how we're going to be having it in this club every time you give a speech. So for your icebreaker, you're going to say, Mr. or Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, this is my life. And you're going to begin. And then make sure that you don't fidget. I fidget like crazy. Stand straight and confident, and make sure you don't walk around too much. I love to walk. I love to have crazy gestures, and that's not good at all. But I'm learning myself, so. Make sure that you speak loudly and slowly, but pay attention to the time. Your speeches are going to be timed, but it's not like, oh, your time, you have to stop speaking now. You could go over, but it's just to give you an idea of your pace when you speak. And you tell the timer how long that you wanted to talk. Don't say thank you at the end of your speeches. A lot of people would say, yeah, so yeah, thank you. And that's awkward. Because honestly, sorry.
I'm sorry.
Okay. When they're listening to your speech, they should be thanking you for the speech. Because you gave them a story. You gave them something. They didn't give you anything. You gave them something. So you don't say thank you. You just end your speech with your strong statement, and then you say, Mr. or Madam Chairman, to obviously close it.
Question. Can you elaborate on the timing? How do you know what is the mechanism behind the timing?
The timing, as we said from the last meeting, we will have a timer, and the timer will be signaling to you at certain points. You will tell them beforehand whether you have a 5 to 7 minute speech. If you had a 5 to 7 minute speech, they'll say 5 minutes, then 6 minutes, 7 minutes, and then 30 minutes, 30 seconds. 30 seconds, so that you get an idea of your timing. But you don't really have to stick directly to your timing, but it's just highly suggested for practice. Alex?
Can you give us any tips on how to relax?
How to relax.
Like,
Breathe.
picture the audience in their underwear?
No, don't do that. Don't ever do that. Oh my goodness. A lot of people say look over their heads, not to make eye contact. Don't look over their heads because they know that you're looking over their heads. Don't. Okay. They say imagine they're in their underwear. Don't do that. What I personally do is I think to myself, the majority of the people in the audience don't speak themselves, you know? They don't publicly speak. So they're most likely just astounded that I'm speaking myself. So if you get that idea, like, the majority of your audience won't actually know that they're, I don't know,
To elaborate on that, for you to be confident, first of all, you got to know the subject. Okay? You need to know the audience. What is it that they're looking for? What is it that you can offer them? Okay? So you know that I'm going to be there, I'm going to be sharing something important, and I think they're going to like to hear it. Okay. Now behind that, you're going to have to do a lot of practice. You really have to know your subject very, very well, in and out. Okay. So that's the reason why you come up here, because you want to share. Correct. Okay. Secondly, the venue itself, you have to get yourself familiar with the venue. Right? You want to know how big the room is and how loud can you speak. You don't want to speak too softly. So you get yourself familiar. You can come earlier to your speaking engagement, right? And you know the people, and you can chat with people to get yourself feel more comfortable. Okay. Now you already know your subject. You know you're going to share. You know that they're going to be excited. You have to have that in your mind, right? Then your name is called out to the front. Okay. Make sure that your mouth is not dry. You can have some water a little bit. Okay. And like Valerie was saying, don't forget to breathe. Okay. So if you forget to breathe, you get nervous, you freak out. Right? So just be natural. Think about the audience as they're really your friends. Okay. Or family members. You want to talk to them. When you talk to people that you know well, you're connected to, you look at them in their eyes, correct? And once you can go over that for, probably about 30 seconds of that, you become natural. You become into with the group, right? So that's one tip. Get to know your subject very well, okay? And know what affects you to become nervous up here. If you're moving your hand a lot, be aware of that. I got to stop that. These are non-threatening people, right? These are the people that I want to share with. I want to show certain points. Okay? Does that help? Okay, any other questions about being nervous? I'll let you.
I'm sorry. And yeah, when you're speaking, you're talking to them. It's a conversation. So it also kind of helps if you think of them as just your friends in daily lives. Yeah.
I actually got a quick question about how you stop how when you speak. Is there any way to stop a shake?
Stop shaking.
Yeah.
Practice, practice, practice. Okay, the first time that I come up to the group, I've never spoken before. I went into a Toastmaster club, all right? And it seems that people are so professional. They're so smart. They're so intelligent. They know what to say, right? So when I was there, I was so nervous. And like you were saying, I was shaking, right? I was nervous. And that was my first icebreaker. I got up there, I thought that I knew what I was going to say. Icebreaker is something about yourself. I know myself. I've been born since I was a baby. Until now, I know what's going on. I know my family, I know my friends, and all that. I should be able to talk about it. And I need practice. So when I got up here, I got so nervous, all my thoughts were gone. Okay? And I talk about the things that I am not. I'm not a courageous person. Okay? I don't think I'm intelligent. All of those things. And I was so nervous. I said, thank you very much. And I left. But the second time that I was there, because I regretted what I shared was not what I wanted to tell people, I thought about it for so long. Then the second speech that I was there, I said, you know what? I think I'm an intelligent person because I graduated with a master's degree. And I forgot all of those things because I did not have that confidence at first. Okay? So you got to get yourself exposed. It's not something that you can pick up a pill, swallow it, and then your shakiness is gone. You have to do it. Right? Like I was saying, the effective way to do it is to do it. Right? So, practice, 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 as Valerie was saying. You got to do it. That's why it's good for you to be involved and engaged and be consistent with the club. Alright?
And a lot of people, they feel like they're shaking, but actually you're not shaking. Or you could feel yourself shaking, but people can't see it. Which I kind of picked up after a while when people were like, oh, you're sounding just so confident. No, I was shaking.
That's very true. Sometimes you're very critical of yourself. And other people didn't see it. And I was nervous when I was talking to you too. I probably didn't. Alright?
Alright, Alex.